Do you struggle with perfectionism in real estate? Do you need your listing presentation to be absolutely perfect before you put it out there to the world? Or your website has to have every exact word in there before you launch it? Today, we're going to talk about 4 quick tips in order to help you overcome perfectionism in real estate. Hey there, how you doing? My name is Michael Montgomery with Rev Real Estate School. Today we are talking about perfectionism. First off, it's not a bad thing to have a very high standard. That's not what perfectionism is about. Perfectionism is about not being able to move forward with something, even though deep down we know we should, because it's not perfect in our own minds. So, just to start us off, we're not talking about lowering your standard. We're talking about freeing yourself from those chains that really hold you back, which is perfectionism. So right off the bat, did you know that the Mona Lisa does not have eyebrows? And that Mark Zuckerberg has always said at Facebook, what they do is they move fast and break things. So if Leonardo da Vinci and Mark Zuckerberg are open to not being 100% perfect with everything that they do, then I think we can also come from the same place. One of the common threads with perfectionism is this all or nothing thinking. And this is actually considered to be a cognitive issue in mental health, is this all or nothing thinking. It's either 0 or 100. It's either completely perfect or it's total crap. This is all or nothing thinking, and it can really harm us in business because what we're doing is, again, we're coming back to the fact that either it has to be perfect or it's absolutely nothing to us. How we counteract this is through cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a type of psychotherapy. Now, with cognitive behavioral therapy, what we do with it within our training is we use it to break down some of these limiting beliefs that we have within real estate and such things as perfectionism. So if you do want to learn more about that, definitely do a little research into cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Very, very powerful stuff. Let's move this into perfectionism. As a real estate agent, I see this with websites not being launched because they're not perfect. Agent bios and scripts is another big one. For instance, with your scripts, you're not willing to pick up the phone and make the call simply because you're not fully comfortable with that script yet. It's not perfect in your own eyes. So these are some things that you may see come up in your own career. Let's talk about how we can overcome that. Number 1, and you've probably heard this from us before, is praise the effort, not the result. You're taking the pressure off of doing the result and getting the result. You're just putting the pressure on doing the action. So all you have to do, if you're talking about scripts, is picking up the phone and making the call. That is what you're praising. Just the fact that you pick up the phone and you make the call. You're not focused on if you can lock down an appointment. What you're doing here is you're taking your viewpoint and you're making it a little bit more manageable for yourself. You're not putting that pressure on yourself that you need to succeed or succeed in what you believe success is in your own eyes. No, all you're doing here is you're praising the effort. Number 2, make mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes and be okay with it. If you think as you start to move forward with something that you're working on, that you know what, if I do make a mistake here, that's totally fine. Then again, it's the same thing with the effort. You really start to focus on the fact that it's okay to make mistakes, and from mistakes you're going to learn. So if you switch your mindset from this has to be perfect to, you know what, this can have mistakes in it and I'm okay with that, you free yourself from perfectionism. Next, think of everything as practice. In real estate, there's always going to be another client. There's always going to be another call. When you think of everything as practice, you open yourself up to the fact that it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect this time around. It's not like we're Michael Jordan, we're standing at the free throw line and we have to make this shot. There's always more opportunities. So if you find yourself into that thinking that this has to be perfect, I need this listing presentation to go perfectly well, I need this showing to be completely dialed in, that's okay. Feel free to just think of this as practice. And again, it's going to lower your need to be perfect. Lastly, break huge tasks into manageable steps. This seems pretty obvious. We've heard this before when we're talking about organization and that sort of thing, but not as much with perfectionism. With perfectionism, we tend to think of tasks as these big, huge things. Let's talk about if you are developing your listing presentation. Now, taking that from the start to the finish could be a number of days in order to get that task done. So with perfectionism, and when we're thinking that way, we're thinking, okay, let's not even get started because it's such a huge task, and getting that listing presentation to perfect just seems so far in the distant future, we're not even going to get started on it. When you break it down to manageable tasks, what you're then doing is you're just having these small wins as you move forward. So if you're going off the listing presentation example, maybe all you're doing today is you're researching 3 to 4 listing presentations that you can find on the internet that work well for you. And just by doing that, you've succeeded. And that's it. So you're not thinking about the long term and where you need to be, you're just breaking everything down into manageable steps. And by doing this, you decrease again your need to be perfect with the huge task. So let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on perfectionism? Have you seen it come up in your real estate career? Thank you very much for watching this video. If you're enjoying it, I encourage you to subscribe. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next lesson.